opening a lingerie shop in Dickinson.
Yeah.
Let's get real.
Yeah. Yeah, there's...
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel silly now.
Okay.
All right. Hello, Tea Talks. We have Anne-Marie here with Stanza'D.
Yep.
We had to go over that one because I wasn't sure if I was pronouncing it right. Where does that come from?
Well, I'm part Italian, and I wanted a name with a little bit of flair to it, and I just started jotting down words, and I was like, Room of Love sounds good. It sounds like kind of sexy, kind of mysterious, kind of, I don't know, flirty. So that's what I came up with, and I just put it in Italian.
You bring up sexy, and this is something that I'm so just like in awe of you. I'm honored that you're here because you have created such a wave of empowerment towards women's bodies. Did you expect that was going to happen when you opened up the store?
It was definitely my goal. It's something that I've always personally struggled with. I still struggle with it to this day. And it's just something that I kind of wanted to like bring out and open, like you said, kind of make it a little more raw and vulnerable, because it's something that all women and men deal with as well. And if we kind of just put everything out on the table, it makes us realize, well, everyone else feels like this. It's totally normal. It's not something I should feel shameful about. And also to just embrace who you are as a person. And that's been a beautiful journey to watch other people go through that, and to also see myself flourish in that way too.
Man. With that though, how has there been kind of people pushing against it, even though it's such a beautiful thing?
I think that there is a line between body positivity and also giving up on yourself or not working on yourself, and that's not what I'm trying to promote. I'm not trying to say you should accept yourself for exactly 100% who you are. Beauty is something that is inside out, outside in, and I think that you should always be working on bettering yourself. So there is kind of a line there where some people take that a bit too far, but someone's always going to interpret something incorrectly, but that's not what I'm trying to promote. I'm trying to promote accept yourself for who you are and work from there and love yourself from there and just continue to grow with yourself.
Because it's something that you're personally going through too?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's definitely insecurities that I've had. I was really overweight as a child, extremely overweight. And I dealt with like bullies and things like that. And then I kind of thinned out a little bit when I got older. And then I got pregnant. And then you go through changes with your body with that too. And, the aftermath of that. So it's a journey, and then also just a transition from being a teenager into a young woman into a woman, and kind of learning more about yourself that way too. So yeah, I feel like it's especially for women an ever evolving thing.
Are you always finding ways to heal from that, like to work on yourself, or are there ways that you kind of pulled yourself out and when you're in that slump, I guess. Does that make sense?
I guess the things that help me the most, personally, I know everyone's different, but just going to the gym in the morning, just giving myself that 30 minutes to an hour to just focus on myself, put my music in, tune out the world, just doing, like reading a lot of health books and figuring out like little tweaks I can make in my everyday routine, whether it's waking up a few minutes early and starting my day with prayer and ending it with prayer, or going to an extra mass in the week for me, really helps boost myself a little bit. Just little things like that, buying a new piece of clothing always helps me feel better too. But those are just kind of the things that I gravitate towards. It's I like things that are a little more hands-on, that I can actually learn something from or change about myself that's in my control.
Have you always been that way?
Yeah, I think that I started the whole working out thing when I was younger. I needed like some outlet outside of my house. I was the oldest of 6 kids, and there was some issues there too, and I just found myself like running all the time. Now I don't run.
If I ask your issues?
I had, like some issues, like without really having like a father being present and things like that, and kind of dealing with like almost like a single mother kind of household. And then I also dealt with that myself for a few years with my son too. So it's always just been my one thing that I could be in control of, pay $50 a month, go get the membership. It's your 1 hour a day. And that's always something that I've clung to. And even if, I miss a couple of days or a couple of weeks, it's something I could always just go right back to. So that and learning is really kind of, those are my things.
Are there any like books you're reading right now that are
I've kind of taken a break from reading, and I've started using Audible a lot because I just don't have as much time. This has been an insane year for me. But it's important for me to find that time, because otherwise I will flip out and go crazy. So I need that time. And honestly, with my books, I've just been like doing it while I'm cooking dinner, or, or in the shower. I have my Audible on or something like that. I've been listening to a lot of like self-help kind of books. And then I also like books that most people probably wouldn't like about food and the effects on the body and things like that. So
that people wouldn't like?
I don't really think so. I don't know.
Tell me about them. I would love that. Like, what are you learning?
Well, I have like celiac disease, so things like that, like how gluten affects the body and things like that. But that's kind of boring.
No, I don't think so. Not at all. I think there are a lot of people that have like issues. I actually know a friend who does have celiac disease, and she can't. I mean, there's certain products that like she can't even use certain lotions from it. So man, that must be pretty intense. How did you find out that?
I got really sick my first semester of college, but I mean, it's better now. I just eliminated it out of my diet, and it's kind of helped me become healthier anyways. So I see it kind of more as a blessing than a curse, I guess. But yeah.
You said you got really, really sick. So then what was your process of kind of eliminating what was happening?
Well, I found out two things. I found out first that I had a thyroid disorder, which is an easy fix. You just take hormone for that. But I also found, my stomach was distended like out to here, and I was working out like 6 days a week at the time. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like what's going on? And I was like throwing up and just gross and tired all the time. And I just kind of went to a few doctors until one of them did a few tests on me, and they thought, well, maybe it's your gallbladder or something like that. Did an MRI, and they just saw swelling in my intestines. So he's like, well, I think I'll just do a little allergy test on you and see if that shows anything, because we weren't really getting anywhere. And that's what it was. So he just said, here's a pamphlet, here's a website, learn what you need to take out of your diet, and good luck.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I mean, from there, I mean, it took a few months to kind of, really start reading labels correctly and things like that. But it got better, and I haven't really had issues since, unless I've accidentally had it. But I'm pretty good about not having that happen.
Does your family also eat like that too then, since you cook for them?
Chris is kind of forced into it because that's what I'm cooking, so that's what he gets.
Yeah.
And then Vinny too, but I give Vinny like a little more leeway because he's a kid, so sometimes, like last night, he's not going to eat the stuffed peppers. He wants chicken nuggets, so I'll give him chicken nuggets or something like that. But I always make him try new things, and he just has to try, and that's it. But
so on top of having a family and cooking and eating healthy, going to the gym, and then you have this store, how is everything going?
It's going well. It's a challenge. I definitely think like working moms have like a whole new side to the business world, but it's also great because there's been this like huge movement and community towards women entrepreneurship in particular, entrepreneurship in general, but again, women definitely continuing to enter into the workforce and to different areas and avenues that maybe weren't necessarily paved before, so that's really cool to see. A lot of the businesses down here, I actually noticed, are owned and operated by women, so that's super cool. Yeah.
The moment you said that, I was like, wait a minute. Yeah. That is really cool. Yeah. Woo!
Yeah, I think it's great. I think we have a really supportive and great community downtown. I mean, even you doing things like this, which thank you for inviting me. It's just really awesome to see like the growth and new things that are happening because we need that. We really need other things to do here, and we need things to keep us occupied and to keep us connected and to network and develop those genuine relationships with people as well, not just like one-time contacts. So I think that that's really great, and I think it's awesome that you're doing that.
Oh man, thank you. But you inspired me. I remember when I was first like even thinking about it, I came and talked to you and wanted to hear about like your process and your struggles, and that was so motivating to hear.
Awesome.
And for you to help.
Thank you.
Guide me. So for people who are maybe who are like thinking about starting something, is there any advice that you can give them because of what you probably experienced when you were thinking the idea?
Yep. So one main thing is you cannot do it all yourself. That was really hard for me to let go of. But once I started asking for help in the right places, that really moved me in the directions that I needed to go. Start development was a big help. SBDC at the school was a big help. Just going into businesses that I had already had relationships with, like Aloha Tan. I went in, I said, how do you do your accounting? How do you balance all of this? And got advice from them. I don't have a business background. I kind of jumped around in school for a little bit, and then I left school to do this. I guess to be an entrepreneur, you have to be somewhat ballsy, which is cool, but it also comes with a lot of risk. You know, you could lose money, time, investments, things like that. But I think if you pour your whole heart into something and you play your cards right, and you're just smart about things and just take it one day at a time, you'll get there. I'm still learning. I'm still trying to learn how to balance everything. I'm learning to kind of delegate things to different areas, and I think that that really helps.
So you were saying that you don't have a business background. You were just going to school. What inspired the idea behind opening Stanza'D?
That definitely came from my own frustration as a consumer. I remember just buying a dress and I didn't have the right broadwear with it, and I'm sure that most women can relate. Different cuts of shirts and dresses, you need different bras and undergarments, and it's very frustrating if you don't have access to that. The only thing that we really had was Herberger's, and it closed. And even that, you know, wasn't like high quality. And lingerie is something that you wear every day, and I believe that it should be made well, and it should be comfortable, and it should be flattering to you. So I remember I was just downstairs in my home with my fiance, and I just said, what do you think about me opening a store? And, you know, he's probably thinking, this is one of your million crazy ideas that you have per day.
I am so glad that is YouTube, because every day I feel like I go home and I'm like, am I a crazy person? That's what I ask my husband. Am I crazy?
And their answer is always yes.
He says no, so maybe the answer is yes.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. I get the, yeah, you're crazy, but I love you. Yeah, it was just kind of like one of my many ideas, but he was actually really supportive. He said, yeah, I mean, if you go through all the steps and you do, and I said, okay, I'm not going to school next semester. I'm going to put that money towards opening a business, and I'm going to go from there.
So you were like incredibly passionate then, because to just have this idea and then you're like, all right, I'm going to do it.
I think that a lot of times, you know, if you see a problem, it's almost kind of your job to fix it, because who's going to do it for you? You're just going to sit around and wait for somebody else to do that. I hate that. I like to just get things done. I like to make things happen, no matter, you know, what way I have to do it, if I have to be a little creative, and that's kind of what I did. It took me, I guess it didn't take too long. It took me about 6 to 8 months to get it going and open and the legal documents figured out. But
with a lingerie shop, I imagine there is a ton of... How was the response when you first were like, I'm going to open up a lingerie shop? And because you were like the talk of the town. You probably still are the talk of the town. I feel like, oh, there's a lingerie shop in town. Both positive and both negative. Did you ever feel any of that?
Honestly, most of the response was very positive.
Mm-hmm.
The few negative responses, I think it was more so concerns, and I could see where they're coming from as a very close-knit, and there's not as much exposure here, right? You know, you go to New York City, you see everything everywhere.
Yeah.
Nothing is a secret, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So opening the store, a few people, you know, would walk by and kind of look weird in the windows, or some people would call and say, "Oh, do you have, you know, sex toys and like things like that?" And I'm like, "No, and please tell your friends that this isn't a sex shop either." So people maybe thought that it was more of maybe what they would see here, you know, like sex shops and toys and things like that, of that nature. But that's not what it is at all. And when people walk in, they're actually really surprised. They're like, "Oh, this is a really nice, classy place."
Yes.
So, I mean, I look forward to more of that reaction. I don't really let the other stuff get to me, because all it takes is for someone to walk in my store and they can tell. Everything's laid out and very tastefully put. I don't have anything extremely provocative in there. I don't have like weird posters. It's all like classy lingerie, and I have like a few sexier pieces, but it's really more so like how you wear something. You know, we could wear the same shirt and it would look different on us. So it just depends on the person buying and how they're going to wear it. And I try to make sure that the things that I buy are very tasteful.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference between being, you know, sexy and, you know, a little more like provocative and things like that, and like asking for attention. And there's a way to just hold yourself differently, wear something nice, maybe show a little bit of cleavage and be sexy that way.
To you, I guess, could we dive a little deeper into that? Like, what does sexy look like and what does provocative look like, I guess? And we don't have to add that in at all. I'm just curious.
Okay.
like
That's different for everyone. Yeah, definitely different for everyone. I think that, you know, everyone has the right to express themselves in the way that they want to, but I think that leaving a little bit more of a mystery is a little more sexy. From speaking to women and men, I think that that's more long-term attractive than kind of just like throwing everything out on the table, I guess. But yeah, the pieces that I carry, they might be sexy, and I get a lot of questions on how to wear something. Like, well, what do you feel like in the dressing room? Like, do you feel like you should put a shirt over this? Or do you feel like you could wear this out? And I think that's kind of where the community a little bit has been shaken, I guess. I have noticed that.
Yes,
it's a little bit shaken. I've had people post, you know, a couple people post pictures of them wearing, you know, maybe their bodysuits out or something with just a jacket over it. To me, that's really cool.
Yeah.
But, and I love it, and I love seeing that we're a little more exposed. We have a little more diversity, a little...
That is what I love about this whole thing. Shaken is the perfect word, because I think we all need to be shooken up a little bit.
Yeah.
But when I said like some pros and some cons of people reviewing, I think it's because they just had this idea wrapped around in their head, and you've completely turned that around.
Oh, good.
You are, I mean, people are just like, they're walking taller, they're feeling great, and that's because of you conquering that fear, taking the steps, taking whatever people might have had to say, and showing them the beauty in...
Oh, that makes me so happy.
Classy, sexy you, right?
That's it's a tagline.
Yep. And how'd you come up with that?
Again, I was just writing down words on a piece of paper. I mean, I really had like just like little note cards that I was writing words on. I just like pieced it all together. It took me a whole day to do that. But yeah, I just wanted something that was personal and kind of just to the point, and that's what I came up with.
Wonderful.
Yeah. One of the words, like, I came up with classy because that's one thing, like, my fiance always described me as. I love how, like, classy you are. And that always made me feel really good and kind of, like, made me exude a little bit more confidence that way. And then I think it should be you about the person, and obviously a lingerie store should be sexy, so...
Amazing.
Yeah. And it's something that women, too, I've noticed they really want to embrace that side of themselves, and they don't know how. They don't know how. They either think it's unacceptable or, like, something to be, like, of or like only keep to themselves. And that's not it at all. Women are very sexual creatures. Very. Yeah. Yeah.
Was that is that something also, once again, too, that like you have discovered through opening up the shop, or was that something that like you had intended to bring to the table when for people?
Kind of both. Helping other people helps me too in a way, because maybe I'm struggling that day that I go into work, which people would never know. But maybe I'm struggling that day, and then maybe I turn someone's day around and they say, "Oh my gosh, I feel so good in this. I've never worn something like this," or "It's been 20 years since I've worn something like this for my husband." And that just like makes my entire day.
Oh my gosh, how much
and then
fun
that confidence
is
is back,
Yeah.
So that's all it really takes. Yeah.
Gosh, that's so beautiful, because right, that it's like we're all working together.
Yes.
Their attitude towards you lifts you up on a day that you're, and so it's just this big circle of let's all just make each other feel great.
So if you have this huge circle of vulnerability, it kind of creates this atmosphere. You can't stay in that very long. You can't really stay in that rut because there's like thousands of people rooting for you. So how could you? So I just love it. Yeah.
Which you're also really great at helping other people too, and empowering other people and making them feel good.
Thanks.
I've noticed that.
Well, I kind of just try and think of it as like, what would I want someone to say to me in that moment? Like, what have I craved before? What have I wanted to be told by someone, or, and it doesn't mean, I know some people go a little far with compliments. I've noticed, there's kind of this huge thing, where I said it could be one extreme to the next, for instance, with like plus size model Tess Holiday. She's very plus size and does lingerie modeling. And there's been people, saying like, "Oh, that's awesome," and "just be who you are." And then same thing with the very thin models. And there's backlash also on each side, saying Tess Holiday is unhealthy. Also saying like the skinny model is unhealthy. And there's just two extremes, and I don't condone or think that either are necessarily healthy or right or correct. But just helping the person with where they're starting and helping them, get to a point that they want to be. I've spoken to people, and it's really cool because at first I thought I was just going to help with people feeling confident in the lingerie they're picking, because a lot of times it's just putting them in the right outfit for them. But it usually translates into a different conversation, which is the cool part for me. They might talk about how they just lost 20 pounds, or how they just had a baby, or they're going through this transition in life, and I've kind of been able to help that way. So that has been probably my favorite part so far, is getting to know people a little more intimately. Yeah. Kind of like a secret keeper.
Yeah, you're like creating relationships. That's wonderful. I feel like that's what the kind of the point is of the show too, is so that other people can really get to know the people that they're just walking right next to, and really hear what they're all about, and the deeper parts of them too. Yeah. And so you get to do that all the time in your store. That's so awesome.
Yeah. That's really what keeps me going, because obviously there's ups and downs and fluctuations in businesses, and that's really what's just kept me going, and it's a really good feeling. I feel like I am at a place where I'm fulfilling my purpose as of now, and that feels really good, because it's really hard to find that sometimes.
Is there any advice that you can give to women who are maybe on the search, even men too,
on finding like their purpose? Oh, that's a big one. I feel like this is something I stumbled along with for a really long time, something I have thought about since I was really young. I've always kind of overthought everything. I was probably thinking about this at like 10 years old. But following your heart, but just also being smart about it. Making sure that something is doable, but also doing something that you love and enjoy and that you're good at. And that's really as simple as that. If you like accounting, go to school for accounting. if you hate math but you feel pressured to go into accounting, don't do accounting. Like, all of us waste so much money sometimes on doing things like that, so much time. But sometimes you discover yourself through those failures, through those bad moments.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. And like, try something. I've always believed, try as many things as you can. And even if you're afraid of them, then you should still do it, because how do you know that if you don't get over that fear, that might be the thing that you end up being passionately in love with?
Yeah.
You know? And
Yeah.
if you limit yourself, if you stop, if you don't try all these new things, how will you know how you're going to react or how you're going to respond to it? So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. And a lot of times what you think is completely different from what actually ends up happening. I was dead set on being a nurse when I got out of high school. Dead set. And then I was dead set on becoming a doctor. That definitely didn't happen. So, I mean, yeah. You realize things when you start doing it. Well, gosh, I'm not that passionate. Society kind of like sways you into thinking that certain things are right and certain things are incorrect, or one thing's better than the other. And that's just really not the case. I never thought that I would own a store. That wasn't something on my radar. It wasn't something I guess I was opposed to, but it just kind of organically happened, which I think makes it a little more beautiful that way.
Oh,
Yeah, because I just found myself in this place. Well, I'm really not enjoying school. Like, I do well in school, but it's just, I'm bored. I don't like this, and I just want to do something else. So,
is there any, because I think there might be a lot of people who are bored. And I think they're just following the direction that they're supposed to do, or instead of going out there and just trying something different. How did you, I guess the question I'm trying to ask is, like, is there advice that you could give to somebody who is bored and wants to take that leap?
I think it depends on the person, because I can inspire myself, but there's some people who need to be like outwardly pushed to do things. So I think maybe speaking to someone, for me, it was speaking to my soon-to-be husband about it, just telling him my ideas, kind of getting an outside point of view on what you're feeling, why you're feeling it. Possibly you're just having a rough time at work and it's just a season, and maybe you really love your job and you feel like you just don't like it now. This is something I had been going through for years, though, and I finally was just tired of it. I feel like you kind of have to inspire yourself a little bit. I mean, you have to kind of get that, kick in the butt and I'm ready to go kind of feeling. And then you just have to make it happen. I mean, I don't think that there's too much that other people can do for you other than just talking to someone, getting that support group. I was really fortunate in the support group that I had. My family was really supportive. Chris was really supportive. My friends were really supportive. And it was kind of like this little secret at first. What do you think about me doing this? Does this sound stupid? But that support group will obviously tell you that it's not stupid and that you should go ahead and do it. So I kind of just started from there, and Google is a great tool. I just started looking things up and seeing how I can make things happen, how have other people made these same type of things happen, and just kind of going from there. You have to be passionate about it to be an entrepreneur. You can't just like blindly 100% go into something. There has to be like some fire underneath you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I have a friend who has a fire in her heart right now, but she's feeling so nervous. And I was like, there's a reason that fire was placed in there. It's because you're supposed to pursue that passion. You are supposed to. You just have to do it smart.
Yeah.
But do it, because anybody who has the passion and the drive for something, people feed off of that and they see that and they want to follow that passion.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like little moths to a light. Yeah. Because it's inspiring to see other people, pursuing their passions and their dreams. I think it's becoming a little bit more common, but it was kind of this weird taboo thing, like where if you didn't go to school, oh my goodness, you kind of like get pressured into that. And I'm not saying that school is bad or anything. I want to finish. I am going to finish at some point, but it just wasn't for me in that moment. And I just just follow your heart. Just follow your heart. Do it smart. If you have to work a second job while you're pursuing XYZ, then do it so that you have a little bit of cushion. So maybe you don't have as much anxiety about it, you know, do it, you know, people say like side hustle. Do that for a while. And then when you can, fully pursue it. And at some point you will have to do that.
Yeah.
Because you can't be super amazing. I don't believe you can be super amazing at two things at once. And that's hard. That's hard, especially for women, because we're doing so many things, you know, being a mom, a wife, you know, a business owner, whatever else you're doing, being a part of this group and doing these crafts on the side. You know, we're juggling a lot of things, but I've realized, and it's been freeing for me, that I just need to focus on one thing at a time. And that's taken me a long time to realize that.
Definitely. I totally agree. I feel like when I first opened up the store, I was afraid it wasn't going to do well. So I was working another job at the same time.
Yeah.
And doing the store. And when you own a store, there's a lot. There's so much. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is too much. And I had that conversation with myself. I was like, I can either give half to two things, or I can give my all into one, and that's it.
Good for
And
you.
yeah, well, and I'm sure, you know, and that was the realization that you had too, is, you know, maybe do it for a little bit, but then but then if you really want to drive and you really want to move forward, you have to just go for it. Put your everything into it.
Yeah. And especially owning a business, I did not realize how many different roles you have to play when you're the only one. So that's something I'm working on too. But yeah, it's a lot. And you just have to learn how to delegate different things to different people and prioritize what you're good at. Give what you're not good at to someone else. Accounting, someone else.
I recently took that advice from you and did that. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do it all. I'm just going to...
It's time consuming. It stresses you out. And as a business owner, I feel like the creative juices should really flow from you, and that can really hinder it when you're focused on something that you're not very good at, that you have to get done. So that was hindering me for a little bit too.
So you're so great. Everybody's talking about you. You're empowering so many people. Is there more that or that you have in mind that is stirring up? Yeah.
Of course.
Yay.
The wheels are always turning. I am opening an online store. Yeah. I will not say when yet because I cannot give a definitive date on that. That's also been almost like opening an entirely new business by itself. But yeah, I just did a photo shoot for it recently. It turned out beautifully.
Yes. Oh my word.
It was so fun.
Can you tell us about that photo shoot?
Yeah.
In case people don't know, because it's amazing.
That's the highlight of everything that I've done so far. That is by far my most favorite thing that I have done. I felt like I got to be me during that because I'm really good with styling and seeing sort of a vision and kind of making that come true. I don't know, just putting things together in the right places. So what I got to do was I rented out a studio in Bismarck, and that was phenomenal. It was a great space, and I brought all of my lingerie. Like, my truck was packed full. And I got some models, some beautiful models. My vision behind it was small through XL models. So on my website, you'll actually be able to see, I'm so excited for this. You will get to see, for most pieces, a model in each size. So it's going to be awesome. You can, click on, if you're an XL lady, you can click on only the XL pictures, and that's what you will see. You'll be able to better visualize yourself in that piece rather than looking at someone who is a standard model size. And I picked women, even my small models were really curvy, and, things like that. So it was really great. I brought those pieces. I had Crystal Kester, of course, do my photos because she's the best of the best. And I got to style the shoot, and Crystal did her thing, and I put them in their pieces and said, throw this jacket on or do whatever. And it was so cool because it was like I was playing dolls a little bit. I got to,
yeah.
We're going to straighten your hair right now because I think you would look better with this. And I was on the ground, like lotioning their legs and doing things like that. It was so fun for me. I love that. Yeah. And it was an all day from like 8 o'clock until 5 p.m. type of thing where we were doing those photo shoots. And at the end, after the product images, I got to really style it up and put the girls together. And it was a really liberating experience for everyone involved. Yeah. And it was so fun.
You talked about, like, when you were a child, you were overweight. Mm-hmm. And then you started taking the steps to go ahead and go to the gym all the time and work on your health and find the right things to eat. Mm-hmm. How do you still promote, loving yourself, but also taking care of yourself?
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, there's a huge push. It was once, the standard was runway model, and now it's kind of going in the opposite direction. I believe that just being healthy and the best version of yourself is the best route. I really don't think that there should have to be such extremes or promotion of these extremes, because a lot of times people are really, they're in the middle and they're feeling left out. Mm-hmm. And it's okay to be whatever size that you are. But this whole movement of just accept yourself for exactly who you are, I don't really agree with that. Mm-hmm. I do believe that we should promote body positivity. Typically that gets people in the right mental frame of mind, and they'll make positive changes to become a better person and to evolve. And that, I think, is beautiful. That's what we should be striving for. We shouldn't be striving toward one type of body or the other. That is contradictive of what the message is really trying to send. So it's just more so about being healthy, having your mind right, having your body right, finding that confidence in yourself with who you are. But you should always be growing as a person. It shouldn't be, now you look this certain way, so now you fit in. It shouldn't be about that. I think the most beautiful people are the ones that look a little bit different or act a little bit different. They're just true to themselves. Mm-hmm. And I don't really like the push for super curvy or super thin. It just however your body is made, just the best version of that, and that's different for everyone.
We talk about, like, society deciding, we're so extreme, we're so black and white. How do we kind of ignore society's pressures and just allow us to be the best version of ourselves and really dive into who we really are?
I believe that everyone hits this at one point or another where they kind of are in this little rut, whether it be, halfway through your life, quarter through your life, or when you're 10 years old. Mm-hmm. But you always kind of question, am I doing the right thing? Am I in the right place? Or maybe I don't love what I'm doing right now. I don't love what my life entails. I want to change that. And it's really our responsibility to kind of push aside what everyone else thinks. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to get in that. Mm-hmm. It's hard to get in that frame of mind and in that state, because there are so many things coming at us from all different angles. My best advice, I guess, in times like that, the best way is to really just unplug. Don't be on your phone as much. And that can be hard when you own a business too. Mm-hmm. It's something that I actually struggle with quite a lot. When I did have an employee, I was actually having her do all of my social. Mm-hmm. I said that's the thing that I'm struggling with the most. But you have to really, I don't want to say ignore, because I do feel like societal norms are placed for a reason. I do believe that there are some positive, there are lines, that need to be drawn. There are things that are not okay or maybe a little extreme. However, if you're really feeling a pull towards something, I say take some time for yourself. Go away for a day or two, if you're able to do that, or set some time aside for yourself and pray on it at night, or think about it in the morning, jot down your thoughts. I'm huge on writing. If I'm feeling, uneasy about something, a lot of times if I write things down, I can either look at it later and say, wow, that was ridiculous, or I'd say, well, I think there's something there. I think I need to, dive a little more into that. And that's a personal journey that I can't really tell anyone how to get there or why. But it's important, and everyone does get there at some point. And I think that's the beautiful part about becoming an adult is you have a lot of those moments. At least I have. And it's your responsibility to dig deeper into that instead of ignoring it, because that problem or that thought in your head will repeat itself over and over and over again. It'll eat you alive. And I do believe that's one of the reasons why anxiety and depression rates have skyrocketed because there's a lot of pressure from a lot of different things to be a certain way, act a certain way, look this way. And you have to figure out what is suitable for you. How do you want to live your life? Do you want to be working that 9 to 5? Do you want to be home every weekend? What do you picture your life as? And start from there and start creating it, because no one else is going to change that for you, because they don't care. Mm-hmm. They don't care. Mm-hmm. So it's your responsibility.
That was amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Wow.
Thank you for inviting me. It was really great.
Super admired you from a distance because I'm so busy. I haven't been able to stop and check out your store, but getting to really sit down and get to know you and just hear your words of wisdom, yeah, oh my word. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it. It was really nice. It's kind of therapeutic, and it makes me it forces me to think about things later too.
It's kind of fun to bring those thoughts, right? Because we think those thoughts in our head already,
mm-hmm.
but to just kind of actually get to say them and share them with people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you're supposed to be hush about a lot of things
mm-hmm.
and proper.
Yeah. Thank you so much for tuning into Tea Talks today. We had the lovely Anne-Marie with Stanza'D. Beautiful, beautiful. I hope she continues to keep empowering, and she will, women to love themselves, cherish their bodies, and be classy, sexy you. If you loved what you saw today, please comment below. If you have any suggestions on what you'd like to hear, we'd love to keep Tea Talks. We'd love to keep learning about more people on Tea Talks. So until next time.
Subscribe.
I know.
Right? It's YouTube, right? Subscribe. Hit the bell.
Did I do it?